every story appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Hello and welcome to CoreTV Primetime News. I am Nifemi Okuntoye. In our major stories, federal government approves 40 billion naira infrastructure and education loan facility for Lagos State government. Also in this program, House of Reps Committee on Petroleum Resources brands oil sector officials thieves. Anambra State Governorship Election Petitions Tribunal in Oka upholds Willie Obiano's election as governor. And outside Nigeria, Taliban releases dramatic footage of handover of Army Sergeant Bowe Bengal to United States after 5 years in captivity.
And in business news tonight, Nigeria's external reserves drops $1.178 billion at the end of May.
And in sport,
Rafael Nadal set up semi-final clash with Andy Murray in the French Open.
The details. The Federal Executive Council has approved a $242 million World Bank loan for the Lagos State government. The facility, according to the Minister of Information, Minister Labaran Marco, is in support of the state's development policy. He told journalists at the end of Wednesday's council meeting that the fund funds are part of a total loan package of $600 million aimed at improving public finance, sustenance of rapid growth, and increase access to quality secondary education in Lagos.
Is the warrantor, and we indeed, as a federal government, have continuously supported Lagos by providing the warranty for the loan, by ensuring negotiations with the World Bank and agencies to ensure that the loan is granted to Lagos State to support its own development. And in this instance, the federal government continues to support Lagos because of its importance in the economy, and also because the president has a policy of ensuring that every state is supported to develop the economy of Nigeria.
Lagos State government had in 2010 secured World Bank approval for $600 million for infrastructure.
Critically, and we supported it, and we do hope that Lagos State government, in getting this loan, which is guaranteed by the federal government, will implement it and give the people of Lagos a lease of life, and also do everything possible to ensure that the loan is successfully implemented and the services are rendered.
The federal government noted that steps would be taken to ensure that the facility is not diverted to other users. The House of Representatives Committee on Petroleum Resources blasted all sector officials during an interactive enlightenment workshop on petroleum industry bill in Abuja. The House Committee Chairman, Dakoko Peterside, who was visibly angry with the magnitude of corruption in Nigeria's oil and gas sector, states that 0.005% of Nigerians enrich themselves with the nation's oil money at the detriment of the larger masses. The workshop was organized by Unite Consult Limited to highlight the gains of the PIB if passed by the National Assembly. While trying to explain why the PIB had not been passed, Peter Side says many Nigerians were of the view that once the bill scales through, all the problems in the oil and gas sector would be solved. He charged the organized labor to hold the government accountable for the ills in the oil sector, stressing that the industry remains the major economic backbone of Nigeria. The Senate has paved way for the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to deregister political parties which failed to win at least a seat in the State House of Assembly. Senators voted unanimously to include this clause in the Nigerian Constitution during a clause-by-clause consideration of proposed amendment. The Senate also voted to include the current Senate President and Speaker of the House of Representatives, as well as former occupants of the 2 seats in the National Council of States at the end of the session. Senate spokesman Eyinaya Abarabe briefed journalists on the process.
And they felt that they needed to give them 21 days, which is what was also passed today. Also, with respect to elections and with respect to electoral offences, what was passed also, the other clause, was that all matters relating to electoral offences will now have to be taken only by federal high courts. And of course, the question of the National Council of States. As of today, in all the arms of government, former National Council of States. So that's why former presidents are there, former chief justice of the Federation. But for the legislative arm, which is an arm of government, the former heads of these institutions are also not there. So the amendment that was passed today was to the effect that former speakers and former presidents of the Senate are now members of the National Council of States. So they have.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, says voter education is critical in ensuring the success of the 2015 general elections. Speaking at the opening of a 2-day retreat of the National Interagency Advisory Committee on Voter Education and Publicity, Jega says there is still an intolerably high percentage of corruption, vote buying, snatching of the electoral materials, intimidation and threat, among others. He urged the meeting not to shy away from acknowledging existing shortcomings, but rather confront them to meet the aspiration of the people. A former Director General National Broadcasting Commission, Tomadaba, called on INEC and media organs in the country to make voter education a continuous process rather than the current periodic exercise. He says there's a need for collaboration between INEC and the media to make debates among the various political parties a regular and possibly mandatory one from presidency to the local governments. The Anambra State Governorship Election Petitions Tribunal in Awka has upheld Governor Willie Obiano's election and dismissed 4 petitions filed against him by other candidates. The tribunal chairman, Justice Ishak Bello, held that the petitions of Chike Obidigbo, belonging to a faction of APGA, Chris Ngige of APC, Tony Nwoye of PDP, and the PDP lacked merit. Bello, in 4 separate judgments, held that Obiano's election complied substantially with the Electoral Act 2010 and the 1999 Constitution. The judge further discountenanced the allegation of multiple registrations against Obiano for lack of evidence by the petitioner. On Ngige's petition, he held that the petitioner's witnesses failed to produce the voters' register to explain or demonstrate how they were disenfranchised in the election. The judge said only INEC could prove the falsification of its document, adding that the petitioner's failure to call INEC to give evidence was fatal to the case. Back in Lagos, where the Governor Babatunde Fashola has advised Nigerians to vote leaders that will make life more meaningful for the masses. Fashola gave the advice at the 4th draws of the Lagos Homes Ownership Mortgage Scheme, where 92 home owners emerged. He says Nigerians should prepare to elect leaders that will sustain the ongoing development in the country.
I believe that democracy has meaning I hope that some of the people who benefited today voted. If they did not vote, I hope that they will be inspired to vote at the next elections. I hope that they will be able to see the difference between a committed government and a government that does not care. And I hope that on election day, they will not be too tired to go and cast their votes. Especially for those of them who did not vote, they may never have witnessed this day if some people did not vote for me.
In Ekiti State, the flag bearer of the Labour Party in the June 24th governorship election, Okpeyemi Bamidele, has unveiled the manifesto of his party in Ado-Ekiti. The manifesto is tagged Healing the Broken Heart. Rashid was there and filed in this report.
Labour Party stalwarts at the unveiling of the manifesto says it's a breakaway from the norm in Ekiti politics, hence signaling the beginning of a new era.
What we are doing today is to sign a contract with our people, a social contract. That is what will guide us in the 4 years administration.
By the grace of God, a new chapter is open in the life of a chapter of blessings, a chapter of progress, a chapter of all the good things of life that are entitlement that you have been denied.
The manifesto is tagged Healing the Broken Heart. It contains the governing plan of the Labour Party. The party says Okpeyemi Bamidele will execute to the letter the content of the manifesto if elected. Strategists and research experts who were involved in the articulation of the blueprint say it's an overall developmental document that will take Ekiti to the next height if truly implemented.
That we are gathered here today for this public presentation of not just a candidate manifesto, but also one codified in one official document reveals in bold relief that the candidate in question cannot be categorized among those kind of accidental leaders. From the document he has presented before us, I make bold to say that Honorable MOB easily comes across as a leader who knows his onions.
The governorship candidate, Okpeyemi Bamidele, promised Ekiti people that he will not deviate from the blueprint.
It's not a razzmatazz. This is a very serious business. We are bringing sobriety into governance. We are bringing experience into governance. We are going to treat governance as if it is science. And by the grace of God, this is the blueprint.
The step taken by the Labour Party and its candidate is expected to change the way political parties are going to handle the few days left for campaigns before the election. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ado-Ekiti.
Reactions continue to trail former President Olusegun Obasanjo's eulogies of the claimed winner of the 1993 presidential elections, MKO Abiola, describing him as a great patriot, a position that is in contrast with his earlier comments that Abiola is not a messiah Nigeria needs. Obasanjo made the remark while speaking as eminent guest of honor at the 4th Founders Day celebration and 85th birthday anniversary of the founder patron of the Nobel House College, Olatunde Abudu, in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital. The former president acknowledged the contribution of the late business mogul to the development of Nigeria in all areas of human endeavor. An activist, Babatunde Ashafa, says Nigerian democracy would not have been made possible without June 12 sacrifices made by Abiola.
The history has it that Nigerian democracy is impossible. And the cardinal point that June 12 keep teaching Nigeria, reminding Nigerians about is that our, readiness to organize a free, fair, transparent, and credible elections. And that is what will keep us flying. That is what will keep us alive as a democratic nation. So June 12th, Nigerian democracy is incomplete without reference and without recognitions of June 12th.
According to Ashafa, it took former President Obasanjo so long to recognize Abiola's democratic sacrifices.
It will not be convenient, even if he has been enlightened and educated on the popular formula of, of governance, which is democracy, it will be very, very difficult to really, celebrate and appreciate people from the other side. I give it to him that he was honest to himself, and of course, he was defending the interests of the Nigerian soldier who occupies and controls the minority interests in the country. So it took him so long because that is where he came from. It took him so long because the principle of democracy, the love of democracy has not been their way all this while. And if you look at it from that 1999 to date, you can see that it's quite an age. Of course, if you put a child in a primary school, by today, if the child is not a master degree holder, I think by today you should be, ascending to become a PhD holder. So I think the spirit of democracy, whether we like it or not, whether by force or whether by convention, is now manifesting in the lives of the former president, President Olusegun Obasanjo, for him to see beyond his nose. He is not talking as a former military general now. He is not talking as a former military president. He is talking as a citizen, a democratic citizen of Nigerians.
Meanwhile, a human rights activist has charged Nigerians to uphold the principles of selflessness and courage in achieving true democracy struggled for by late Kudirat Abiola during the 18th anniversary of her death. President Campaign for Democracy and Women Arise, Joe Odumake, stressed the need for courage in combating a series of problems bedeviling the country. Omotayo Alo has details.
Rescue our cows now! In honor of the late Kudirat Abiola, civil societies, students, family members and some Nigerians gathered at her residence in Ikeja for a remembrance 18 years after her death. Chairman, National Democratic Coalition, says Nigerians should go back to the road they abandoned and implement the lessons of the past so as to survive the current challenges facing the country. Joe Odumake says the death of Kudirat Abiola can only make an impact if politicians adopt a change of heart on their reasons for governance.
June 12 was about free choice. People came in after casting their votes. It reflected the wishes and aspirations of our people. And June 12 again was about commitment. We had that symbol, although unfortunately we lost the man and the mandate. So the lessons we can learn from June 12 is that our people came out in unison. They spoke with one voice. They were committed. They were resolute. They had a symbol that was not interested in affluence but saying farewell to poverty.
In the same vein, Femi Aborishade clamored that the blood of Kudirat cries for justice, while warning politicians to desist from corrupt practices, which he ascribed as the bane of problems plaguing Nigeria.
Kudirat Abiola that we are remembering today died because she wanted to actualize June 12. The essence of June 12 is farewell to poverty. You can only abolish poverty if the collective resources are used for the collective good. But today, our democracy is one in which the politicians govern for their own interests.
Children of the late Abiola present at the event, Abdul Abiola, Afsat Abiola, and Jamiu Abiola, advised politicians on how to make the country better for Nigerians.
If you have motivated teachers in the Northeast, even as Boko Haram is attacking the Northeast and attacking their schools, those teachers will be figuring out a way. Even if they have to use personal houses to teach the children, they'll figure it out. So we have to think in terms of productivity.
So I just hope for the general progress of the country, and hopefully this doesn't just end here. We're looking for the likes of General Babangida to come out and speak, the likes of General Abdul Salam to come out and speak. That's what we're looking at.
Well, Nigerians are strong people. Nigeria has a lot of problems, but Nigerians are very strong and they are trying to cope, even though it's getting more and more difficult for them because the whole world is going through a global financial crisis. But I think what my mother did was not in vain.
No doubt the death of Kudirat Abiola has been a source of sorrow to many, friends, family members, and even civil societies. But what they look up to 18 years after her death is that the principles which she died for should be upheld in Nigerian democracy. Omotayo Alo, CoreTV News, Lagos.
President Goodluck Jonathan has forwarded the name of former Kano State Governor Ibrahim Shekarau to the Senate for confirmation as minister. Shekarau is one of the 3 people on a ministerial list read on the floor of the Senate by Senate President David Mark. The others are former Afenifere spokesman Prince Dayo Adeyeye, representing Ekiti State, Dr. Abdul Bulama, Yobe State, and Stephen Oru from Delta. The Senate has not fixed a date for the screening of the ministerial nominees yet. You're watching CoreTV Primetime News live from Lagos. We'll take a short break now, and we'll be back with more stories. Don't go away.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ghana. Please remain seated and ensure your seatbelts are fastened. You can now turn on your MTN mobile phone data to enjoy a browsing rate of 5 kobo per kilobyte with MTN One World. Thank you.
Absolutely. Browse like home with MTN One World. Surfing the web from any MTN operating country costs the same like home. Enjoy affordable rates when you call and send text messages. Terms and conditions apply.
MTN. Everywhere you go.
This one wash challenge, you test Ariel to see if it removes stains in one wash. Let the challenge begin. First, chocolate and juice. We will wash shirts with Ariel. Look, Ariel has cleaned in just one wash. So which detergent removes stains in one wash? Ariel, P&G Everyday Quality brand.
From time immemorial, women have birthed life, shaped character, and by extension, influenced the society. Moremi of Ife, Emoten of Benin, Queen Aminat of Zaria, all women of influence and power.
Whether it's before election, after election.
How ironical. Women being so powerful, yet have few grounds in decision making.
They see you as weak, and I see you as a wife to a man.
We are talking women in politics.
A woman will be bold enough to stand up and say, I want to become president of Nigeria.
Only on CoreTV News.
CoreTV News now provide a platform for live coverage of political rallies and electioneering campaign from anywhere in Nigeria. Political news stories, political editorial reviews, political discussions, personality profile, People's Parliament from the National, State and Local Government Assembly. Contact us now on 0803-471-8550 or 0803-724-9733. 01453-3407.
Our 24-hour news station.
Glad to have you back on CoreTV Primetime News. For more information on our news and other programs, you can visit our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/CoreTV News. And you can also follow us on Twitter at CoreTV News NG. Get what previews and current edition of our news and other programs on YouTube. It's youtube.com/CoreTV, leave space and news. Moving on the news, the Nigeria Governors Forum. Just before that, the new governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, has met behind closed doors with President Goodluck Jonathan at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. The meeting, which lasted about an hour, was the first the president would be having with Emefiele since he formally took over the leadership of the Apex Bank on Tuesday. He was said to have used the opportunity of the meeting to brief Jonathan of his administration's plan for the bank, which is expected to be released at the press on Thursday. The president was also said to have advised the CBN governor on the need to maintain the bank's integrity in order to sustain economic growth in line with his administration's transformation agenda. The Nigeria Governors Forum, led by Governor Jonah Jang, has called on the new Central Bank of Nigeria, Governor Godwin Emefiele, to make his obligation to the nation as top priority. The forum advised Emefiele to stay faithful to the roles and functions of his job. The governors advised him to be conscious of those who might want to use their relationship with him for personal gains rather than for collective good. They stated that the Governors Forum looked forward to working with the new bank chief and expressed hope that his vision for the Apex Bank will encourage fiscal responsibility. The NGF urged Nigerians to support the new CBN governor in its new role to ensure monetary stability for the common good of the nation. Members of the Bring Back Our Girls movement have formally sought police protection to enable them continue with their daily sit-out protests. The group says in a statement that its lawyer, Femi Falano, is already in touch with Inspector General of Police Mohammed Abubakar on the matter. The protesters have resolved to meet in court on Thursday when the suit against the FCT Police Commissioner Joseph Umbu was slated for hearing. The Minister of Women Affairs and Social Development, Zainab Maina, led an interfaith national prayer to call for the release of the abducted schoolgirls from Chibok. And at the event, the minister called for an end to all forms of terrorism and violence, saying in such situations, women and children are the worst hit. Maina says the prayer session became necessary as a show of concern for the plight of the abducted girls, adding that nothing is impossible with prayers. She added that the present administration is resolute and committed to promoting education, saying it is a tool for national development. The minister welcomed the present administration's Safe School initiative, saying security and stability is necessary for any meaningful development. The place of a vibrant opposition in stabilizing a political system and bringing about national development is the focus of a lecture at the Nigerian Institute of Journalism. Oluwaseyi Adegoke has details in this report presented from our studios.
The role of opposition in sustaining and deepening Nigeria's democracy is the theme of the 2014 Student Week lecture of the Nigerian Institute of Journalism. The interim National Publicity Secretary of the All Progressives Congress, Lai Mohammed, says only a non-partisan approach can effectively fight terrorism.
We face perhaps the biggest threat to our survival as a nation since the Civil War. Nigeria has never been this fractious in peacetime, with our people being increasingly divided along ethnic and religious lines. Even as what started as a ragtag insurgency has morphed into a slow-motion warfare.
Mohammed says no responsible opposition will remain silent in the face of confusion in the country. He added that the fight against insurgents is a collective responsibility irrespective of party or religious affiliation.
That's why we have rejected all attempts to blackmail us into silence at a critical time like this, because it is part of patriotism to be a responsible opposition. It is part of patriotism to speak truth to power. It is part of patriotism to keep the government of the day on its toes. We will therefore continue to play this role in the interest of our country and our people in order to deepen and sustain our hard-earned democracy.
He, however, advised the federal government not to see Boko Haram as a conspiracy against it.
The last minute have been had on the stampede that marked the recent recruitment exercise of the Nigerian Immigration Service. Now, this is because families of victims have concluded arrangements to take the federal government to court. Paz Samuel has details.
On March 15th this year, hundreds of thousands of Nigerians showed up at different designated centers for an aptitude test organized by the Nigerian Immigration Service. But during the process, about 20 job seekers died in stampedes while several others sustained injury. This led the Nigerian authorities to cancel the exercise and announce a compensation package for some of the victims. It doesn't, however, seem that much has been done since, and a number of those injured are headed for the courts.
Following the federal government's declaration of free medical treatment, priority was given to the victims who were taken to the National Hospital, Abuja, while those who were taken to other hospitals like the Asokoro General Hospital, the Gwagwalada Hospital, and some private hospitals were left to wallow in anguish and pain. In addition, the victims alleged that the officials of the National Hospital in Abuja and the Immigration Service informed them that based on the federal government's directive, only those who were taken to the National Hospital were entitled to the free medical treatment as directed by the federal government.
In Abuja, more than 60,000 candidates were invited for the test. Abdullahi Sadiq was one of those who narrowly escaped death.
On my going in, I saw a very big crowd trying to go in, and it was like moving. It was like moving. So the crowd was moving gradually. So I was trying to kind of go in because the back was already filled up. Going back and going front was like the same thing, because going back might be more risky than going forward. So I tried to go forward and get into the National Hospital. All right, before I realized I cannot move myself.
A coalition of civil society groups is taking up the crusade on behalf of the victims. The groups are also pushing for the removal of Interior Minister Abamoro from office.
On our writing the Gwagwalada Teaching Hospital, in response to our letter, they told us that the federal government has not actually made any fund available for the treatment of this injured victim. So now you have a federal government promising automatic employment for 3 of the deceased family, even mainstreaming gender into the whole discourse, and also offering free treatments for affected, injured applicants. And the all cost for treatment for Dennis is 40,000 naira. Until date, he's not been able to undergo this surgery.
The survivors of the tragic stampede are hopeful that they would get justice from the court, especially after they say the authorities had ignored their cries for help.
Ekiti State Governor Kayode Fayemi has mediated the crisis rocking the state's chapter of the National Union of Farmers. The governor on the occasion stressed the need for the farmers to be united in purpose, since Ekiti state economy is agro-allied based. Rashid was at the forum and filed in this report.
The state is renowned for her prowess in the agricultural sector of the Nigerian economy. The state prides itself on cash crops such as cacao, coconut and cashew, which account for over 20% of Nigeria's non-oil revenue. No doubt, the present administration in Ekiti places high premium on agriculture with massive investments in the sector. Judiaro Shafe, Ekiti State Commissioner for Agriculture, explains the commitment of government to both small and large-scale farming in the state.
For farmers in Ekiti State to take where or to occupy where they belong to. And today marks another wonderful day where the right window for farmers in Ekiti State to key into the transition program of moving from peasant farming operation to commercial farming operation will be open.
The Ekiti State chairman of the All Farmers Association of Nigeria thanked the governor for his support for farmers, particularly for his intervention in settling the rift that nearly tore Ekiti State farmers apart.
In my inaugural speech after our election into office, I made it clear that the newly elected Urban Executive in Ekiti State shall leave no stone unturned in ensuring that farmers in Ekiti State speaks with one voice, so that we benefit from the various programs of the government at all levels in this country. I am pleased to announce today that farmers in Ekiti State are now united and has given birth to today's unique occasion.
Fayemi in his speech vowed to make agriculture in the state lucrative to the level of making it a source of employment for all and sundry.
I make bold to say that this administration is doing everything possible to give a major entry as the main employer of labor and leading source of our internally generated revenue.
As part of his promise and resolve to provide succor for farmers, facilities to make farming easy was distributed to farmers and farming agents at the occasion. The governor went further to distribute intervention loan powered by the Bank of Agriculture to farmers.
Already, we have about 16 hectares of maize. This 1 million naira will boost the projects, so that we thank the executive governor.
This will assist me a lot because formerly I have been working alone without any laborers. So with this now, I can employ as many as laborers.
Will it be said that the gesture was centered around the re-election bid of Kayode Fayemi? This is hard to say. However, Fayemi used the occasion to solicit the support of farmers for his re-election, and the beneficiaries of his kind gesture equally promised to vote for the APC. The reality of this promise will only be confirmed with the result of the June 21st governorship election. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ado Ekiti.
Up next in the bulletin is business news with Sabena Izoko after this break.
This one wash challenge will test Ariel to see if it removes stains in one wash. Let the challenge begin. First, chocolate and juice. We will wash shirts with Ariel. Look, Ariel has cleaned in just one wash. So which detergent removes stains in one wash? Ariel, P&G Everyday Quality Brand.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ghana. Please remain seated and ensure your seatbelts are fastened. You can now turn on your MTN mobile phone data to enjoy a browsing rate of 5 kobo per kilobyte with MTN One World. Thank you.
Absolutely. Browse like home with MTN One World. Surfing the web from any MTN operating country costs the same like home. Enjoy affordable rates when you call and send text messages. Terms and conditions apply.
MTN, everywhere you go.
CoreTV News now provide a platform for live coverage of political rallies and electioneering campaign from anywhere in Nigeria. Political news stories, political editorial reviews, political discussions, personality profile, People's Parliament from the National, State and Local Government Assembly. Contact us now on 0803-471-8550 or 0803-724-9733. 01453-3407.
Our 24-hour news station.
Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on Digi360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.
Well, then, welcome to the world of business. I am Sabena Izuku. Latest data released by the APAS Bank shows that Nigerian foreign reserves closed red, shedding $1.178 billion at the end of May. The level declined from $38,138 billion at the end of April to $36.959 billion last month, its lowest in recent times. On a year-to-date basis, the nation's reserves lost $6.65 billion or 15.25% from $43.61 billion reported at the end of December, when it stood at $43.61 billion. In a communique at the end of its regular meeting on May 19th and 20th, 2014, the CBN's Monetary Policy Committee, MPC, expressed worry that the reserve is depleting at a time Nigeria ought to build fiscal buffers. According to the CBN, nation's external reserves has fallen by $4.55 billion to $38.30 billion on May 15th, representing a decline of about 10.61% when compared with $42.85 billion at the end of December 2013. The current level of the country's external reserve, CBN added, could provide approximately 9 months of import cover. The Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation, NDIC, has commenced verification and payment of insured depositors in 33 out of 83 microfinance banks whose license were revoked in December 2013. The exercise, which commenced on the 2nd of June, will end on the 6th of June, with depositors in the microfinance bank being urged to visit the last known addresses of the closed banks with their claims. Depositors are expected to present evidence of account ownership and a personal identification document, and those without an alternative bank account will be expected to provide details of accounts of a close relative to which payment could be made, and if such relatives will represent them, they must come with appropriate authority letter. The NDIC also announced that the verification of payment of depositors of other closed microfinance bank not stated will be communicated to the public when liquidation procedures were concluded. With efforts underway to ensure increased power generation in the country, the Transitional Electricity Market TEM, a stage that will ensure accountability and enhance further investment in the Nigerian electricity market, is expected to be declared in the third quarter of the year. The chairman of the Presidential Task Force of Power, PTFP, Bex Dagogo-Jack, says federal government is making efforts to bring about more embedded generation and captive power, even as it is tackling the issues of gas supply and transmission network. Dagogo-Jack said the federal government has sought $3 billion to invest in transmission network between now and 2018, adding that gas supply is expected to hit 3 billion standard cubic meter per day by 2020, and gas pricing will reach export parity by 2015 or latest by first quarter of 2016. Power generation in the country is still averaging 3,800 megawatts due to pipeline vandalism, adding that there will be 10,000 megawatts constructed power by December 2015. The new governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, will on Thursday announce how he intends to drive price and exchange rate stability during his 5-year tenure as the APEC boss. Emefiele formally assumed office on Tuesday as the 10th indigenous governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, taking over from Sarah Alade, whose tenure as acting governor ended on Monday, 2nd of June 2014. The new Central Bank governor, who has cleared by the Senate on Wednesday, March 26, 2014, arrived at the CBN headquarters at 7:30 a.m. on Tuesday, June 3, 2014, to warm embrace of the 4 deputy governors at the bank and expectant staff led by Sarah Alade. Emefiele is said to be fortunate to have met a reasonably stable economy, with inflation staying at single digit and within CBN's 69% target for a while now. One of his major challenges will be to drive a monetary policy stance at a time that Naira has come under pressure amid declining reserves. Naira eased against the US dollar on Wednesday as banks bought the greenback on the interbank market due to inadequate supply from offshore investors participating at the bond auctions, dealers say. The local unit closed at 162.70 Naira to a dollar, 0.12% weaker than 162.50 Naira it closed the previous day. Nigeria offered 137.97 billion Naira worth in treasury bills, a 3-month and 1-year tenor at an auction, but offshore participation was not as significant as it had been in previous auctions, dealers said. Dealers are expecting the state-owned oil company, NNPC, to sell part of its month-end dollar in the coming days to help provide liquidity and possibly strengthen the local currency. And on the stock market report, activities on the Nigerian Stock Exchange ended on a positive note, with market indicators appreciating by 0.55%. The All Shares Index rose by 229.75 points to close at 41,627.43. The market capitalization rose by 76 billion Naira to close at 13.74 trillion Naira against 13.669 trillion Naira recorded previously. And all the volume of shares traded rose by 28.86% as investors exchanged 430.92 million shares valued at 6.52 billion Naira and 5,569 deals. Lafarge Wabco topped the gainers chart, trailed by Ashaka Cement, MRS Oil, Nigerian Brewers PLC, and Dangote Cement respectively, while Total Oil led the losers chart, followed by UNCN, Owando PLC, Beggar and Naskin PLC. And here are the top 5 trades. And that's it on business news. Coming up next is sport news with Brownson Uwana. Stay with us.
Very big thanks for joining us on Sport News tonight. I am Brownson Uwana. Super Eagles striker Osaze Odenwegi has assured Nigeria will be better against United States of America as they were held to a scoreless draw by Greece on Wednesday. The Super Eagles forward said it took the team some time to get into the game, but said they created chances which boosted their confidence. Meanwhile, a top official has disclosed that Monaco defender Eldasne Chejile will be fit for the final World Cup warm-up against US on Saturday after injury forced him out of the clash against Greece. Echejile limped out of the game in the 39th minute with a suspected hamstring complaints in the game. President of the Nigerian Football Federation, Aminu Megari, has congratulated the under-15 national team for its victory at the second African Youth Games, which recently ended in Gaborone, Botswana. The Nigerian boys defeated Botswana, South Africa, Tanzania, and Swaziland while drawing with Mali in between to emerge the best team of the tournament. Speaking from the United States of America, where the Super Eagles at their final training camp ahead of the 2014 World Cup finals in Brazil, Megari affirmed that the under-15 boys will grow to become the Super Eagles in the near future if they maintain their sense of dedication and discipline. Megari stated that the administration will continue to improve on the under-13 program, saying that it is the bedrock of development. And away from that, Spain striker Diego Costa has passed a medical at Chelsea ahead of a proposed £32 million transfer from Atletico Madrid. Chelsea met the buyout clause in the 25-year-old's contract with Atletico, and he will now negotiate personal terms. Costa scored 36 goals in 52 games for Atletico this season as they won their first La Liga title since 1996 and reached the Champions League final. The Brazilian-born forward is in Spain's World Cup squad. And now to the world of boxing. Carl Frampton will fight for the IBF Super Bantamweight World title currently against current champions Nico Martinez in Belfast on 6 September. Frampton defeated the Spaniard in his home city of Belfast last year to win the European Super Bantamweight title. However, Martinez went on to win the IBF World title later in the year and will defend the belt in September, with the venue yet to be confirmed. Frampton has won all 18 of his professional fights. And finally, on sport news tonight, to the French Open, where Rafael Nadal came from a set down to beat David Ferrer 4-6, 6-4, 6-love, 6-1 in an ultimately straightforward round to the semi-finals of the French Open. British Andy Murray ended home hopes by beating Gael Monfils 6-4, 6-1, 4-1, 1-6, 6-love in front of a roaring crowd on Wednesday to reach his first French Open semi-finals since 2011. Murray, who reached his 14th Grand Slam semi-finals, will play defending champions Rafael Nadal in the last four. And that's a final whistle on sport news tonight. Nifemi Oguntoyin will be back with the rest of the story. Stay with us.
Thanks, Brownson, for those stories. Congratulations to Rafael Nadal there. So, right, moving on now, let's find out how you can get to reach us on our social media feeds. For more on our news and other programs, you can like our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/CoreTV News. And you can also follow us on our Twitter handle at CoreTV News NG. Get to watch previous and current editions of our news and programs on YouTube. It's youtube.com/CoreTV, leave a space and news. And moving on now, on the foreign scene, Taliban has released dramatic footage of their handover of Army Sergeant Bowe Begdal to United States forces after 5 years in captivity. It shows a U.S. military helicopter landing in a valley, kicking up against clouds of dust as a jittery-looking Begdal waits just a few feet away, flanked by militants clutching a white flag. After a brief exchange of handshakes between insurgents and U.S. soldiers, Begdal moves unsteadily towards the helicopter. His release has evoked sharp criticism from some U.S. politicians who fear they could return to the battlefield and pose a threat to Americans abroad. U.S. defense officials have said dozens of U.S. Special Forces troops backed up by helicopters were sent for the handover. Begdal is now being treated at a U.S. military facility in Germany. United States President Barack Obama has condemned the dark tactics and aggression of Russia in Ukraine after meeting Kiev's President-elect Petro Poroshenko and promising him years of U.S. support. Adopting the mantle of leader of the West, Obama hailed Poland for building a thriving democracy 25 years after elections which fractured communism as part of a European tour dedicated to bolstering NATO defenses and reserve. He says the country's long struggle against occupation and tyranny is mirrored in the plight of Ukraine a quarter century later, which showed freedom is still under threat. Obama also offered a robust security guarantee to fellow NATO members who feel threatened by Russian moves in Ukraine.
Nasza solidarność w sposób szczególny potrzebna jest dzisiaj narodowi ukraińskiemu. Narodowi, który stanął w obliczu zagrożenia agresją i wobec wielkich wyzwań modernizacji. Nie ma wolności bez solidarności z Ukrainą.
After investing so much blood and treasure to bring Europe together, how can we allow the dark tactics of the 20th century to define this new century? I met with President-elect Poroshenko this morning, and I told him that just as free nations offered support and assistance to Poland in your transition to democracy, we stand with Ukrainians now. Ukraine must be free to choose its own future for itself and by itself. We will not accept Russia's occupation of Crimea or its violation of Ukraine's sovereignty. Our free nations will stand united so that further Russian provocations will only mean more isolation and cost for Russia.
Wraps it up on CoreTV Primetime News. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. On behalf of the production crew, it's goodbye.